So welcome back to the special show, No Filter Cricket Show. And I have with me my great friend and expert, CS. And very warm welcome to you, CS. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm good. Better now.
Great. So let's begin with the aftermath of the final. And the point I want to concentrate on that it was, it could have been a great final, but unfortunately the rain came in the second half, and we all know what happened after that. So today in this show, basically our focus will be on this DLS method. It has been discussed in the past, but again, it is seen as a way of finding a solution to revise a target. It still has its methodologies and is based very heavily on figures and stats and devised by statisticians. But the most important point is that this is the only method currently available despite its inherent flaws. So CS, I want to get an overall sense of how you felt that when the rain came and a total of if I remember correctly, 215 was the winning target in 20 overs. Then suddenly it dropped to 171 in about 15 overs. So is that an unfair advantage to the team batting second?
And this is what happens when you have a system in place which has its own flaws. And we have been, if you see, witnessing these flaws for so many years. If you remember 1992 semi-final, if I'm correct, when South Africans were playing against, England, and suddenly the DLS method, suddenly rain came, and then it was only one ball and 22 runs. They lost the game, and this.
Right. Yes, as you were saying that it was the 1992 World Cup, and
Yeah. Can.
yeah, and so
Sorry.
we were losing your audio a bit. So I'll just recap for the viewers that that was what CS was referring to was the 1992 World Cup semi-final, and that ended in a fast. South Africa needed 22 of 13 balls to beat England in Sydney when rain stopped play. Now, 10 minutes later, the players were back on, and South Africa needed 21 of one ball. I mean, nothing can be more ridiculous and unfair to South Africa. And it meant England had qualified for the third World Cup final in the last four. CS, again, a reaction to that ridiculous drama. CS, would you like to react to that?
Yes. Sorry. So I was talking about 1992 semi-final, South Africa, England, and ball and 22 runs. And Macmillan, the great all-rounder of that particular time, the tall, lanky South African, he was nowhere. He was just laughing there. When Botham and everybody, Botham, for him also, it was a Swan song. But everybody was laughing because nobody had a clue how they have calculated. But in my own opinion, if you ask me, nobody could actually calculate the way DLS method comes in, because I have seen it on the grounds and everywhere. If there is any time, if there is a problem and you have to calculate DLS, you go to a computer, you feed the thing, and suddenly a sheet will come into your hand. And nobody has a clue. Every time I have witnessed this, nobody had a clue how this was calculated. Yes, there are methods, wickets, last, the situation, the toss factor, everything. But again, this is a very complicated method. And in fact, I remember one South Indian guy. I think if I'm not wrong, some Tamilian guy. He also, I'm forgetting his name. He also gave a proposal to BCCI that he has devised a formula like DLS better than that, and it could be very successful. And please use me in the domestic to start with. But I think that was never considered. But he wrote a book on that also.
So CS, going back quickly to that final, after what GT did, and Basically, I'd done a take on that earlier, and I had gone with GT and said that the only way they can beat CSK is if they bat first and bat them out of the match. That almost happened. Of course, there were two moments
Yes, yes.
when Sai, took a little bit of time to adjust, and they lost a bit of momentum. And also in that last over, where out of the last four balls, only 2 runs were scored. Maybe another 10, 12 would have happened, taken them over the line. But put that aside, the way when the target is brought down, and there is another very important point in the DLS system, which is it professes that the side which is batting second may have an advantage over the rain coming in, because the side batting first does not know whether that rain will come in or not. And if they are told that the rain will come in, then they may bat differently.
Absolutely.
So how would you explain that bit to for our viewers, please?
Well, when DLS Duckworth-Lewis method, when this was derived, obviously it came from the county cricket, from English, who used to control the game till that time. So it all came with the suggestions and with whatever presentation they made. That you have to consider a lot of things, because before that, if you remember, it was a simple calculation. In 35 overs, if the other team had 135, so obviously after 35, the second team, if they are chasing, the calculation will come in the same way. कितने ओवर के बाद हुआ था, कहाँ हुआ था, ठीक वहीं पर होता था calculation, which was again unfair. Because if rain comes, obviously the second team, in that particular time, during before DLS method, second team जो खेल रहे थे वो disadvantage में होती थी. I remember our intervarsity game, and suddenly we were playing against Delhi University, and suddenly rain came from nowhere, and we were winning the game. But suddenly last में हुआ, और एक ओवर में, और वही जो calculations आती थी उस वक्त में, I'm talking about 80s, 87, 88. Suddenly your run rate 12 पे चला गया, और 12 at that point of time was very very difficult. और bowling की conditions भी different थी. But anyway, उसके बावजूद उसको हटाने के लिए, उस फ्लॉज को, कि सेकंड टीम का डिसएडवांटेज खत्म हो, डीएलएस केम अप विद द आइडिया कि आपको टॉस देखना है, कंडीशंस देखनी है, ग्राउंड कंडीशंस कैसी है, कब मैच शुरू हुआ, क्या मैच डिलेड था या नहीं था, एवरीथिंग दे हैव कैलकुलेटेड. इट्स नॉट लाइक कोई प्रॉब्लम है. बट द पॉइंट इज, मैनली अगर आपको खुद से कंप्यूट करनी हो ये सब चीजें, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है. मुझे किसी अंपायर या किसी मैच रेफरी ने ये कभी नहीं बताया कि दे कैन डू इट देमसेल्व्स. इट इज ऑलवेज बीन, आप कंप्यूटर में डालेंगे वो सब, और कंप्यूटर विल कैलकुलेट, वो जो उनका ऐप है, और उससे कैलकुलेट करके आप बाहर निकलेंगे. सो हाउ दे कैलकुलेट, हाउ फेयर और अनफेयर इज दिस, again is something, the debate is still on.
So, for the benefit of the viewers, I'll quickly race through a couple of points on the DLS method, how it came about. So, the Duckworth-Lewis Stern, because it is now known as DLS. So, Duckworth-Lewis and Stern, these are the three gentlemen after whom this is named. And it is used to calculate target scores and reach outcomes in range-shortened limited over matches. So, Duckworth and Lewis, they were originally statisticians, and it was first used internationally, that is this method, in the year 1997. Also, the Australian academic Steve Stern updated the formula, becoming the custodian ahead of the 2015 World Cup. So it went through certain paces. Now, the other interesting part is the DLS method takes into account both wickets and overs as resources and revises the target based on the availability of those resources. Now, here comes the difficult part, CS, because my math is terrible. And the maximum I ever got was 50%. And I thought that was a great achievement. And now you have Harsha Bhogle, who's an IMA product, explaining to everyone what it means on Twitter. And still they're saying, Harsha, we haven't got it. So anyway, we will still try. So this says at the start of an innings, a team has 100% of its resources, which is 50 overs and 10 wickets. This is obviously referring to ODI. The DLS method expresses the balls and wickets remaining at any point as a percentage. So, CS, how does one sort of understand, define, and accept all this hardcore mathematics all put forth by statisticians, and also the way it is being interpreted still the world over? And many people still believe, they may not say in the commentary box, but still they believe this is an unfair cut to at least one side in a match.
And before we discuss this further, आपको पता है इसमें how much money is involved? I mean, at one point of time, I don't know whether that has been उसको again कुछ adjustment हुआ है या नहीं. But at one point of time, till say 5-6 years back, I was told every time you use a DLS method, the 5,000 dollars goes into their account. So that kind of money also flows in with the, maybe it has increased or it has decreased. I have no idea right now. But till 2009 or 13, this was the way, Anyway, so now the thing is how they have been calculating. But the point is, the problem is they have been calculating it keeping in mind the conditions after the game when it stops and all, you know second team को advantage कैसे हो रहा है, because the conditions may deteriorate obviously, उससे उनका कम हो जाएगा. लेकिन पॉइंट इज, अगर आप इसको, हमने बहुत डिस्कस किया हुआ है. आई रिमेम्बर इन श्रीलंका 2007 और समवेयर, हम लोग पूरी टीम, पूरी सीरीज ही ऑलमोस्ट धुल गई थी. हम वहां पर बैठे हुए यही डिस्कस करते थे, इरफान पठान एंड अदर्स, द टीम प्लेयर्स, इवन दैट टाइम ग्रेग चैपल वाज देयर. तो यही बात होती थी, किस तरह से कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं. तो उस कैलकुलेशन में एक प्रॉब्लम थी. सपोज जब आपका मैच शुरू हुआ विद योर 100% रिसोर्सेज, 100% प्लेयर्स अवेलेबिलिटी और सब कुछ, टॉस ये सब कुछ आपने रखा, बट द कंडीशंस कुड बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट. आपका हमेशा डे नाइट नहीं होता, मे बी मॉर्निंग मैच, द बॉल मे बी स्विंगिंग मोर, देयर मे बी ओवरकास्ट कंडीशंस. तो वो चीजों के लिए आपने एडवांटेज नहीं दिया या डिसएडवांटेज नहीं दिया. आप इसको कैलकुलेट करेंगे विद द मैच प्रोग्रेसिंग, और आपको किस तरह से जो सेकंड टीम को जो आप एडवांटेज वाली लेकिन जब इंग्लैंड और साउथ अफ्रीका की बात करें तो डिसएडवांटेज सेकंड टीम को, ऐसा नहीं है, हमेशा ही एडवांटेज आता है. सो मैंने कि मुझे आज तक कभी, सच में कहूँ अरूप, तो मुझे कभी समझ ही नहीं आया डीएलएस मेथड के. आपने आज जिस तरह से एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं, मे बी पीपल कम टू नो कि किस तरह से हो रहा है. लेकिन इन ऑन द फील्ड, ए जर्नलिस्ट, अंपायर, मे बी अंपायर्स नो लिटिल बिट बेटर देन अस, बट प्लेयर्स किसी को कुछ समझ नहीं आता. सडनली शीट कम्स और उस शीट पे आता है 1 बॉल 22 रन, या लास्ट में 1 ओवर 13 रन, ये सब कुछ आता रहता है. बट ओवरऑल इट इज वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग. And there have
Seriously,
been methods. People have
I
been
want to,
proposing a lot of other things from
yeah.
Australia, from other countries. But I think MCC, the kind of the custodian of the game, they are hell bent on ensuring that only this method goes into the play.
Right, see, I'll come to you with another point, and for our viewers also, that which is basically what this system is all about. That it was long felt, and listen to this. This is very important. It was long felt that under the DLS method, teams chasing big totals were better off keeping wickets in hand when rain was around the corner, even if it meant scoring at a lower rate. Now, this is again points to the fact that whoever is chasing in the modern system when rain comes in seems to be always at an unfair advantage.
Yes, with the keeping in mind the wickets, the conditions, and especially DLS was originally derived for one-day cricket. They never kept in mind that there'll be T20 games also. T20 came much later after DLS. So I don't know whether आज वो उसको रिवाइज करना चाहते हैं, और DLS वाले, I don't know whether how fairly they have been placed, whether they are still living or not. But point is, you need to drive another formula for T20, because the advantage at that time or disadvantage was for the 50 over cricket. Right now आपका बिल्कुल चेंज हो गया सिनेरियो, बिकॉज राइट नाउ 215 is again 200 is a par score in T20, whereas during that time when this came up initially for 50 overs, 230, 215 or 250 used to be a winning score, 230 used to be a par score, or 220. So things have changed also with the time. So maybe ICC have to have a look, and then technical committee has all the rights. uh, Technical committee, we have seen Saurav Ganguly, Anil Kumble, they were heading the teams. Right now, I don't know. I mean, right now who is heading? But India has a player there. India always have a representation. So why not review this?
Exactly. Now let's close this show today because we will be back again with a second part to it where we will discuss the one and only MS Dhoni. But CS, before closing this show, I want your reaction on a very important um, interview that Mr. Sunil Gavaskar has given, and he's pointed out that last over, he says Mohit Sharma first bowled those first three balls like a dot and barely conceded a single each, and then it boiled down to 10 runs of the last two balls. But he said that midway in that over, after he had bowled those three balls, suddenly someone comes out with a glass of water, with a bottle of water for him. Then Hardik Pandya rushes to him, gives him instructions. And according to Sunil Gavaskar, he said Mohit Sharma looked distracted. He looked here and there. And we all know what happened after that. He says when a bowler is in great rhythm like that, never disturb him and do not send unnecessary instructions. Is that a dig at Ashish Nehra, the coach, and Hardik Pandya, the skipper?
Absolutely. I think what Gavaskar Saab has said, I think everybody felt at that point of time. I remember I was there watching the match, and suddenly when it was disrupted, obviously you are in a zone. It's like a writers, when we write our story, the most difficult part is to write the intro, first two paras. Rest all is there, it is all over the net, it is all over the commentary boxes and the in the scoreboard. It is the most difficult part is to make your thing understand in first two paras. So you try and get into a zone. आप जब लिख रहे हो, आप जब बॉल कर रहे हो, आप बैटिंग कर रहे हो, यू आर इन ए जोन. और जब आप ऑब्वियसली फर्स्ट थ्री बॉल्स वर्ल्ड क्लास बॉल्स उन्होंने उसको मारने नहीं दे रहा था और ऐसे डिफिकल्ट टाइम में, तो सडनली आपको जब डिसरप्ट करते हो आप उस जोन से बाहर आते हो, और जब आप जोन से बाहर आते हो obviously that fear factor comes into it. Those who have played cricket, it is obviously about rhythm, but it is also about getting into that zone. वो द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट पार्ट किसी भी प्लेयर के लिए होता है, और उस जोन से जब आपको निकाला तो वो फियर जो आप भूल गए थे उस एक डिलीवरी के बाद, मे बी नेक्स्ट टू डिलीवरीज, आपका फियर फैक्टर खत्म हो गया था. आप जा रहे थे और रिदम में बॉल कर रहे थे, बट यहाँ पर आपका रिदम तोड़ा, आप में वो फियर प्रॉबेबली इंस्टिल दोबारा से हो गया, और आप फिर से कैलकुलेशन, स्कोर बोर्ड, आपको पानी पिला रहे हैं तो आपको 10 चीजें समझा रहे हैं. मे बी सम मैसेज हैज कम आशीष नेहरा का या किसी का, बिकॉज आशीष नेहरा यूज टू बी गुड बॉलर इन डेथ ओवर्स, सो मे बी उनको लगा मुझे कुछ भेजना चाहिए. बट अननेसेसरी जो कहते हैं ना, ज्ञान बांटना कई बार किसी और प्लेयर को हीरो से जीरो बना देता है, एंड मोहित शर्मा इज अ फाइन एग्जांपल इन दैट.
Right, you're absolutely right. And so we conclude the show on this point that in that last over, we have to admit, because going by the observations of Mr. Sunil Gavaskar, that Mohit Sharma was sent an instruction from the dugout. It would have come from the coach, Ashish Nehra, who is in any way being sort of criticized. And also there have been references from the com box in a funny way about the way he's overly engaged, even with the players when they are on the field, rushing to the bowlers at deep fine leg or square leg, talking to them constantly. Is that what a coach should be doing? We'll leave it at that, and we'll be back more on with a special show and a discussion on the one and only MS Dhoni. Thank you very much, CS, and see you soon.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you.